Okay, so on our next section, we're going to have a look at the key metrics of App Store optimization. This is particularly important because the App Store optimization process is defined by the two App Stores. So first we have Google Play Store and then we have the Apple App Store. So in the future chapters, we're going to delve deeper inside the App Store optimization. But first, for you to be able to keep up with the course, I'm first going to introduce you to some of the main key metrics. So let's start with the Apple App Store. Our first key metric here is the app title. So the app title is your app's name, basically. It's like your packaging name. But there's more to that. It doesn't just give you your app's name. It's not only the thing that users see the first time when they search for your app, but also Apple ranks you very high for the keywords you have in your app title. So therefore, it's both important for conversion rate optimization and keyword optimization. So finding a good balance here is always in your best interest. Our next metric here is the subtitle. So the subtitle is an additional text space where you have beneath your app title. Similarly to the app title, the subtitle allows you to add 30 characters inside of it. And the main aim here is to elaborate a bit more what purpose your app serves. But in addition to, again, like the app title, it also affects your rankings. So after your app title, the subtitle has the second most important ranking factor for your app. So again, as we'll mention in the future chapters, optimizing your subtitle plays a critical role when you're doing ASO for the Apple App Store. Our third metric here is the keyword spot. This is equally important to your app title and your subtitle, because this is where you will be putting the rest of your keywords that you want Apple to rank you. Different from the app title and the subtitle, here you have 100 character limits. So you can add keywords with at most 100 characters. So utilizing this limit will always, again, be in your best interest. So there are some tried and tested methods that will allow you to get the most out of this keyword spot, but to keep things easy and consistent, now we're going to skip this, and in the next chapters where we look at the Apple App Store optimization, we will explore this even deeper. So our next metric is downloads. So as someone who has an app, everyone is interested in getting more downloads. But what role does downloads play for your app's lifecycle? First of all, historically, downloads have been the prime factor for your app to rank higher. So if you are getting more downloads on a keyword than compared to another one, then you will be ranking higher for the one that you get the most downloads, and especially the download velocity. So the rate of the increase in your downloads was also very important. But there has been a common trend between Google Play and Apple App Store, and this is that they have started to give more value to user experience. So under that light, they have started to focus on additional metrics that is expected to overshadow the importance of downloads to your app. So our next metric here is the reviews and ratings. So reviews are, as you can guess, reviews that your users leave in the App Store to share their experience and their feedback about your app. And the ratings are the number of stars they gave to your review or your app. So these are actually quite important for your ranking, but most app publishers neglect this. But if your app has a good number of reviews with a decent rating, this will signal Apple and also Google that your app is a high quality one, so you'll be more likely to rank higher. The retention rate is the rate of your total downloads in comparison to your active users. So if you retain most of the people who download your app, your retention rate will go higher. And this will signal Apple or Google that your app is a high quality one, and therefore you will have a better shot at ranking higher, again, in both app stores. Let's continue with the key metrics for the Google Play Store. Similarly to the Apple App Store, we start off with the app title. But the main difference here is that there is no subtitle section in the Google Play Store. To make up to that, you have an additional 20 characters to add in your app title. So your total character limit is 50, which is 20 more than 30. So again, the keywords you have in your app title have the strongest ranking factor for your app. So optimizing these 50 characters is one of the most important steps you should take while doing ASO for a Google Play app. Our next metrics actually are two metrics, but they're part of the single thing. So first we have the short description, and then we have the long description. So unlike the Apple App Store, where you have a specific keyword spot where you can add the keywords you want your app to rank, in Google Play, you will be ranking for the keywords you have in your description. So the short description is the first 200 characters of your entire description, and then the long description is the rest, which is limited to 4,000 characters. So it is tested and it's assumed that the keywords you have in your first 200 characters will have a higher ranking impact for your app. But Google Play Store optimization is kind of close to search engine optimization. So we have something called the keyword density. So this is the number of times a keyword has been repeated across a body of text. So as you have a huge place where you add your keywords, you have to have a way to tell Google which keywords are more important than the rest. So to do that, Google looks at the number of times a keyword has been repeated in your description. So we usually suggest you to repeat your most important keywords around 4 to 6 times across your description, and having them first appear at your short description always helps. So next up, we have the retention drawn from a keyword. So this might seem a little complicated when compared to the other metrics, but it's actually basically the retention rate with a little bit more detail than the one we saw on Apple App Store. So rather than looking at your general retention rates, Google Play Store looks at the retention rate of users coming from each individual keyword. So the idea here is to find and select your most relevant keyword. So if your users coming from a certain keyword, the XYZ keyword, have a very high retention rate, it means that that keyword represents your app perfectly in the App Store, and therefore you will rank higher for it. So as far as things goes, you don't have a way to optimize this, but keeping track of this to find those keywords and maybe eliminate the ones that have a lower retention rate might increase your likeliness to rank higher. The next important metric here is stability of your app. So I have mentioned the increasing trend of giving more value to user experience in the both app stores. So stability plays a very important role. By stability, I mean your crash rates, the number of times your app was stuck, wasn't opened, and all that sort of stuff. In addition to that, Google Play carries this a step further and looks at your the battery life of your app. So it's important for Google that your app doesn't drain too much power. And in addition to that, you also have the app size, because most of the people are not always connected to a Wi-Fi or something like that. They usually use their cellular data to get those apps downloaded. And if your app is has a bigger app size. Again, it's not very likely them to download it wherever they are. So these are some additional metrics that are quite important for Google Play, and their importance is step by step increasing.